We gotta talk about them big tech choices that we just saw out of this weekend's YCSs. Now make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that Fossil Dino button. Oh no. Yeah, that's right. Mitsurugi decided to go, oh hey, you took our King of the Feral Imps away from us? Well, we gotta do something with these level 4 monsters that we're leaving on the field. So they basically decided to manipulate the rank 4 package into playing Gallant Granite. Now you're like, oh, okay, they're just searching for, Nibiru. No, they're actually searching for Fossil Dino Pachycephalo. And they're using their normal summon to actually deploy the Fossil Dino after they've done all of their combo shenanigans. You know what's incredibly interesting to me about this whole concept, though? This is not the first time we've seen this, though, because Valence in the OCG was doing the exact same thing, where they were basically setting up these level 5s onto the field, and then, they would, or the level 4s, and they would, obviously through Pendulum summon, and they would just make the Gallant Granite as part of their end board, and then they would just be like, alright, cool, well, we'll go toggle, the Gallant Granite to go get the Fossil Dino, and then after you've done your entire Pendulum board, you just end on, this very, very dumb card. That's the exact same thing that we're seeing here on the kickback of this. Now, is it, very fun and very interesting? I wouldn't be surprised to see Gallant Granite eventually kind of getting kicked out of the format. This is kind of one of those mass exceptions to the rule, though, that, searching for a Nibiru is typically fine, but it's when you're basically going down this path of trying to extend out all of this stuff and try to go even further down these combo lines that, you really start to have this problem branch out. So, yeah, Fossil Dino is a good card now. Knightmare, Corruptor, Iblee. Oh, my God. I legitimately didn't think I would see anything related to Knightmare, Corruptor, Iblee anytime soon. And then the Yummy community decided to go, oh, we can just incorporate this into Yummy. Now you're probably like, how are they doing that? It's got to do with Gigantic Sprite, which is going to require, your 2 level 2s to make it. So basically, in order to even get to this stupid thing, you're going to have to do, some Yummy plays to get some Yummy monsters established. Once you got the 2 synchros set up on the field, you just literally overlay them together. And congratulations, everybody. You got full access to, you guessed it, probably one of the stupidest concepts in what feels like, modern era times out here. And it's all got to do with Knightmare, Corruptor, Iblee, and the combination of the big sprite guy. Yummy's Reign of Terror has, this deck has evolved and has done so many, different sorts of strategies that I'm not surprised to see a build come out of nowhere that actually is incorporating the idea of being able to use this stuff to work out. It's just the sort of situation we find ourselves in. It's not that the Knightmare, Corruptor, Iblee luck is hard to out. I think the problem right now is we've just gone so far away from, having cards to try to out it. It's just a situation that when it does come up, a YCS like this and nobody's prepared for it, then you're just like, oh, yeah, good game, Duelist. I was not prepared for this outplaying. Then we have Branded Fusion. Oh, boy. So Branded Fusion showed up in Draco Tail. Now, I don't really think that this was something that we didn't expect, because the minute that Branded Fusion moved on that list to 2, we all knew that people were going to go, ooh, we can go incorporate this into Draco Tail. Now, honestly, the more successful build was actually just playing less of a branded package, which is kind of crazy, by the way, because I've seen these 60-card branded pile dreams that players are out here pushing as, the next best deck. And I think we're going to continue to see these sorts of ideas popping up, where, you know, you can incorporate branded fusion into a Draco Tail deck. Well, once again, where is the line? Do you play more Draco Tail and play more of like a pure build and then splash in like a Blazing Cartesia and one Fawn of Albaz? Or do we just flip it on its axis and do we just go with, you know, 3 Fawn of... You know, you're maximizing the Albaz side of the deck while relying on a smaller Draco Tail package to basically facilitate what, you know, you're going to be seeing there. And realistically, like I said, I think the answer right now is less branded cards, more Draco Tail cards. Because working with the tools that Draco Tail has just feels way better than, you know, you start to get into like the cloggy mess of, well, I got to splash in, you know, fusion duplication. You know, we got to do a Luber and all of this extra fusion stuff. And then it's just, it's too much of a hassle to have to incorporate. Just keep things nice and simple and then just kind of branch off and go from there. That's going to be, I think, your safest bet when exploring this. The return of PSY-Frame Delta and Gamma, actually. So everywhere I look, PSY-Framegear Delta is back. And you know what? I gotta say it, man. I was definitely not expecting to see PSY-Framegear making any sort of splash out here. Because if you pay attention to the meta, I mean, Gamma's a good card. Gamma puts in like 9,000 miles of time into, you know, trying to crack these boards. But on the crackback here, Mitsurugi has just grown so much in popularity that being able to use a Delta to cut off, you know, one of your opponent's Mitsurugi spell cards, or honestly, like holding it for an Obedience Schooled as well, you know, if you don't have an Ash Blossom or something, having that extra little protection, I think, is what kind of warrants excitement for this card coming back. Now, I really wish that, you know, we could use it to negate the effect of a spell card, but we can only do it on activations. I guess that's kind of your trade-off with this, too. And also, I don't really think people are playing the, we're going to say, the goods to go with this. I don't have people out here testing out the crazy idea of, well, what if we splash in a PSY-Framegear, you know, or Omega into the deck? No. You're using this on an opportunity when you don't have a board. I mean, you're going to try to probably use it going second to try to counteract your opponent to make sure that, you know, you have an established point of entry so you can at least play the game. Yeah, sure, you'll lose your driver and you'll have a couple more dead, you know, Deltas and or Gamma in the deck. Typically ends up being the situation when you're choosing to play these combos. So, welcome back, Delta. I'm glad to have you here. And then Gem Knight is still board breaking. This is actually kind of incredible right now. We've evolved into such a format that you got like these best decks kind of duking it out with each other. You know, one wants to build a ridiculous board. The other one wants to tear down any sort of ridiculous boards that are going up. And I think that's one of the coolest things about, you know, Gem Knights. It's, you know, they have this ability just to kind of set up this board and then just automatically, you know, go second, knock apart the opponent's board. Now, if you run into another going second deck and they opt for going second, you kind of become left in this really weird situation of my deck can't actually do anything. We like to call it the brickitis, or the my deck needs to go second because I need to be able to do battle damage. Now, unfortunately, there are consequences to, you know, playing a deck that strictly needs to go second. You don't necessarily get the tools to, you know, try to fix things. And I think that this is another primary example of what's going on with, you know, the meta in general. But Gem Knight's really still a viable deck. You know, you're getting in, you're board breaking, you're doing everything that your deck needs to do to basically clear the game in your favor. But what do you guys think about these cool tech choices? Please comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. See your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. And of course, peace out. Patrons! Thank you! Ah!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.